I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do once. Realizing this might be the first chance you've had to catch your breath a little bit. So,
yeah, it's good. It's good.
Thanks for coming up here. Welcome, everybody. Wrapping up qualifying for the 106th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge. Again, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, and Rinus VeeKay make up the front row. We welcome the driver of the number 9 PNC Bank Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing, the aforementioned Scott Dixon. I'm just going to throw some numbers out here for you. These are just incredible. 5th career Indy 500 pole, which, of course, is second only to Rick Mears. Back-to-back poles as well. First time that's happened since Ed Carpenter did it in 2013 and 2014. 4-lap average, 234.046. That is the fastest pole run in the history of this great race, Indianapolis 500. Not the quickest, though. Some guy named Arie Luyendyk did it on day number 2. Just shy, of course, that was back in 1996. Chip Ganassi Racing's first 1-2 start since Dixie and the late, great Dan Weldon did it back in 2008. Dixon, first back-to-back, as mentioned, since Ed Carpenter, and 6th different pole winner now for the NTT IndyCar Series season. It just goes on and on. Have you had a chance to even kind of take in what you just pulled off here at this great facility?
I think it was huge, but not just for the 9 car. I think for Chip and his whole group. Huge credit to every single person on the team. That was definitely a feat. 5 cars in the Fast 12, 4 in the Fast 6. Every team owner would dream of that situation, and I think without the hiccup that Jimmy had, I think it would have been all of us in there. So kudos to Chip and everybody on the team. Kudos to Honda and HPD. The amount of effort that goes into qualifying alone is kind of mind-boggling. I think even for us that are in the team and in this kind of community. Just how much goes into it, is crazy. So, for the team to see that and for it to pay off is huge. I knew the pole was guaranteed for our team, but of course I wanted it over Alex. And I think, Cannon, huge credit to him. After yesterday, we did a couple of things that we shouldn't have done, and the knock-on effect, really affected us yesterday. And guess lucky with the weather, and that held us in that Fast 12, for us to continue on today. So big thank you to everybody on the team. And step 1, but doesn't guarantee you anything. Obviously, it's a huge privilege to start on the pole, and congratulations to everybody on the PNC Bank number 9 crew.
I'm sure one of the questions, and we'll get to the questions here in a second. What kind of changes did you make from the top 12 to the Firestone Fast 6 to the car?
Not a whole lot. I think that for us, the biggest effect lately has been, just the ambient conditions. And, from the first run, I was glad to get out of that car because, I nearly crashed in turn 2 on the last lap, had to get out of it, or, kind of went for the brake as well. Luckily, we recovered and were able to still have a great speed and top actually the first 12. So I knew once we had a clean run, we were going to have some tremendous speed. But we can't go into details what we changed. So he just made it go faster. Hey, hold on.
Obviously joined as well by Rinus VeeKay, drive the number 21 machine for Ed Carpenter Racing, and Alex Palou, drive the number 10 NTT Data Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. Just some opening thoughts, and I'll begin with this. I mean, so many accolades coming with today's qualifying run, but we can confirm that this is also the quickest front row in Indianapolis 500 history, with a 4-lap average amongst the 3 at 233.643 miles an hour. That just edges out the 96 front row at 233.233 miles an hour. Pretty fast, right? Congratulations. Let's start with Alex, who is going to have a quick chat with Rinus. We'll start with you. You're the one paying attention. Just your thoughts on being back in the front row. Obviously, a second front row start for you for the Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, I'm very proud to be in the front row again. Haven't qualified worse than 4th in my 3 qualifying attempts at the 500, so very proud of that, especially at my age. And yeah, I think as a team we maximized everything we had. We made all the right decisions, and I had the best car I've had in qualifying weekend during the Fast 6 qualifying, so that shows how on point we were today. But Scott was just a little too fast.
And Alex, what were the nerves like watching Scott go out and perhaps try to knock you off the pole, which obviously he ended up doing. But obviously a great finish for the team, though, as well.
Yeah, I mean, there was not a lot of nerves. Like, I knew he was going to get it. Everybody knew he's the man here. So it was like, okay. But no, to be honest, the Chip Ganassi Racing team did a tremendous job having 5 cars in the Fast 12, 4 in the Fast 6. My car was really good. I think my best car was during Fast 6. So I was super comfortable. I think I did everything I had. I kind of wish that Scott, knowing that he had already 4 pole laps here, he could have gave me 1, but he doesn't share much, so we'll try and get it next year.
You got to change that. You're the series champion. Can't you do something about that?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and open it up for questions in person. For those of you joining us virtually, we'll get to your questions here momentarily as well. Go ahead, David.
Thanks, Dave. Well, I was wondering first whether it was going to be chicken or Taco Bell tonight, but clearly it's Taco Bell, so congratulations, Scott. One of the things which Dave kind of alluded to, but I was wondering, with the way the weather was changing, because it was definitely getting cooler, certainly standing in the pit lane, was there the temptation to do things to the car between the run for the 12 and the run for the 6?
I think we kind of always just try to manage that and monitor it, to be honest, and we have a program I think we kind of follow, with the current conditions, and it's been pretty spot on. I think all of us knew that, from the first run to the second run, it was going to get easier, so you could be more aggressive. And, the first run, we were already super aggressive, so, we didn't want to overstep it, and then we kind of just waited to see what the 10 car did and then trimmed out a little bit more than he did. And that was it, So this year, I think, has been tricky just because of the sealant and how black it is. So the sunlight has really affected kind of qualifying more than what we've had in the past. I think this morning, especially when it was cloudy, that keeping the track temp down really makes the car drive a lot nicer. And as we got that later in the day, it helped.
And then the second part of that, waiting obviously to be the last runner out on the track because of how you went through the 12 phase. Do you feel the pressure more by having to wait to the end, or is it better to go maybe where Alex went or where Renus went?
Kind of depends you're kind of just seeing what the numbers are. And when I saw the numbers that were run, I knew that, our first run, even though we had a big hiccup on the last lap, really brought our average down quite a bit, probably 2 or 3 tenths. So I knew we still had, a pretty high 33 in the car in that configuration. And knowing what Alex had done and what we were going to do, I think we knew we had a pretty big number. It's just you're such on such a fine line of it being comfortable and nice to drive to it just completely taking off. So it's a huge credit to all the drivers, the last couple of days, because everybody's taking big risks and the track is really tough to read, and sometimes you nail it and sometimes you don't. So it makes it fun when you get it right.
Oh, congratulations to all 3 of you, and we really look forward to the race next week.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, David. Jenna?
Hi. Scott, your hands were shaking after your first run, or maybe that was a little bit of yeah, were they really shaking?
I was just trying to do what Cannon's always doing. Cannon's always like this. He makes me shake.
Okay. So,
No, I was pumped up after that first run because it was not easy. I was just happy to get it back to the pits.
So obviously the speeds are very fast for everyone. All 6 of you were among the fastest. Even Kanan's slowest lap would have been 8th fastest. So knowing what the speeds are for all 3 of you, knowing how fast you're going, knowing how on the line it is, seeing Jimmy's run, how do you guys do that?
I don't know. I think that's kind of what we all secretly thrive on, right? It's more about getting it right, obviously, than when you don't. But to live on that edge, is an amazing feeling. And when you do nail it, there's a lot of moving parts too. It's never just one person. I was lucky enough to drive that car. Cannon did a hell of a job in setting it up. All the crew people. It's just a huge knock-on effect. And to be able to carry that across the line in the fashion that we did, that's what it's all about. That's days like these are amazing. But. I think that's why everybody does it. It's just being competitive. You want to win and you want to beat the competition.
The other 2?
Yeah, I think. Can you repeat the question one more time?
How do you go out there and go 233, 34 miles an hour?
Well, I was actually pretty nervous for today. I knew there was a lot of, many people counted on me to go for the pole position. So we were very fast yesterday. Of course, a bit lucky with the draw and driving in cold conditions. But yeah, having to go 2 times today was not ideal. The first run, just like Scott's, was very much on the limit. I could stay flat, but turn 4 was very close to disaster, but stayed flat. And then we changed the car, took some downforce out for the fast 6, and really matched the balance to how I liked it. So I was more comfortable in my fast 6 run than my fast 12 run.
Alex?
Yeah, I agree with Scott. That's what we like, and the feeling of finishing a lap here. Well, not 1 lap, because you know you still have 3 more, and it's like, so I don't know, the breath you get when you finish 1 lap and it's good, that just makes you do it again and again and again. And when you do a good run, it feels just insane. It's tough to describe. It doesn't feel good when things go bad, like it did last year. But it's also easier when you have a fast car like we did now. So the competition, I would say, like trying to be faster than somebody else when we are in those limits, like we're putting everything to a limit, the driver, the car, the tires, everything. So yeah, it's fun.
And one more for Renus. How do you break through that gaggle of Ganassi guys and win the race?
Try to count on my experience that I got in Texas and in the race here last year. Of course, I was very pumped leading the race last year, and I think the 2nd or 3rd lap, but it really only counts at lap 200. So I think we gotta make sure we stay out of trouble, stay in the top 5 all race, and just make sure we save some cars for the end.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenna. Eric?
Yeah, Scott, with most of the drivers talking about how difficult it was to qualify this weekend, I know you don't look a lot about stats yet, but was this one of your more rewarding pulls you've had of your career so far, with as challenging as this weekend was?
I think they're all rewarding. I think even if you look at the different, configurations that those have all been done, and, for me, each one demanded a different thing, so it was, I think, again, the pole run is such a team effort and so much work goes into it, as I alluded to before. It's so cool to see all of that work that's been done for the last sort of 11 or 12 months, pay off, and I know it's not the race win, it's not any of that, but the effort that goes into just trying to get the pole is huge. So, today, I don't know, I'd say that was probably one of it's fastest, right? The fastest one I've ever done, so that's cool. But yeah, again, I think you think more about the ones that you didn't get, unfortunately.
And I think it was Tuesday. These are all running together now. You're talking about how it's kind of a reset, the 500 would be. How much does a pole do for the team kind of moving forward? Like an old basketball turn, you just kind of got to see the ball go in, and then it changes everything. Do you feel like this pole can do that for your team?
Not just the pole, but I think the effort of the whole group, pumps you up for at least this week. Hopefully we're this happy come next Sunday as well, and one of us is, lucky enough to be drinking milk, and then that's job well done. But it's some bragging rights, I guess, for a few days, but that's all it means, man.
Columbus is Tim May. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Scott, could you hopefully address this situation when you see 234 flash up on your dash, or you hear it in your ears? Is there an adrenaline rush involved? How do you keep everything calm in that situation? You got to do 3 more just like that. Just take us inside the cockpit once on one of these ridiculous runs, and what's it like?
The first number does mean a lot, and when I think we had a 234.7 or something, when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is going to be a good run. But then because of the sequence that you have to do now with so many changes of, buttons and switches and controls and weight jacker and roll bars, you're busy, so you're consumed. Gone are the days in the early years where you would kind of just try to hit your apexes and enjoy the speed that you had. There's a lot going on, and if you miss one part of the sequence, it will take you out of it. So it's stressful. But that first number is definitely, that's what you want to see, and then it makes the rest of it go a little bit easier.
Hey, real quickly for Renus and Alex, I mean, when you see those numbers pop up for him and you're sitting there, because you're not racing against each other, he's out there running, you guys are watching. What is it like, I guess? To know you can't really go back out there and do it again, you know?
Yeah, well, it's unique about Indy 500 qualifying, and I think really after my run and knowing Scott wasn't going to go out, I expected him to improve my time, and yeah, seeing his first lap, I knew that was going to be very, very hard for him to actually make a mistake and finish qualify behind me.
Yeah, I agree. I guess it would be different if there was another driver behind, but when it's Scott Dixon, maybe you are a bit more scared. So obviously seeing that number, it was amazing. I thought my 4 laps run were fast, but we're not fast enough. So yeah, it's okay.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Chris.
For all three of you, there were 2 8-minute quote-unquote work periods with a 2 pre-lap deal in between. How much were y'all able to adjust your cars from the first run to the second run to kind of fine-tune that much more to the nth degree?
I think we made some minor changes, really some balance changes, but nothing crazy on the car. We knew what we had was pretty good, and we didn't have to step too far away from what we had. So we basically tried to straighten out the balance a little bit, and that's exactly what we've done.
Yeah, we just minor changes for us as well, and honestly, I think the bigger changes were more in the practice we had this morning, and with 12 cars and not all of them running at once, you actually got a lot of productive track time out there. So that for us, especially on the 9 side, I think that was a big session for us to be a part of. But as far as the fast 12 to 6 and all that jazz, it was pretty fine adjustments.
Yeah, me too. I think on the 10 car we just changed a bit the downforce to try and risk it a bit more for the fast 6, but that was it. It was limited what we could do on the cars. We had the list. You could change a little bit, but obviously if you're in the fast 6 means you have a pretty good car. So,
Scott, this being your 5th pole, you're now 1 away from Rick Mears' record here with 6. You mentioned earlier that there were frustrations about the 2 poles that you didn't get. Is that frustration even elevated because now you're at 5?
No, I'd much rather have the 3 more victories he has than I do. That's plain and simple. A pole's fantastic, and again, it is a privilege, but everybody wants to win, man.
Thanks.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, hello. Congratulations, everybody. Dixon, the only average above 234. Can you share a bit how it was feeling inside the car?
When I saw the 234.7, I was excited. I don't think I gave a little scream or anything, but I was excited and happy. And again, it's just you're so focused on what you've got ahead. The 1 lap doesn't really mean much unless it's all about the 4 lap average. And I think as we've seen, the last couple of days, the first 2 can be pretty easy, and then the real fine line comes down to lap 3 and 4. So I guess that's the hard part, is that it's going to be getting a lot harder opposed to easier. But when you do see that first number, that again it feels good.
Thank you, Dixon. And Palo, espero que puedas contestar en español. Vas a empezar donde terminaste el año pasado, con otra leyenda al frente. ¿Qué se siente?
Nada, la verdad que muy, muy contento por cómo ha ido toda la semana y cómo ha ido la clasificación para nosotros. Es la primera vez que salimos en la primera fila, creo que es impresionante. Mañana puedo hacer la foto tan famosa que se hace en la primera fila los 3 pilotos, así que contento por tener un buen coche, la oportunidad de salir delante, pero bueno, es una carrera larga, tenemos que trabajar y intentaremos mejorar la posición del año pasado.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have one question for Renus. If you could, for the benefit of the assembled media, could you pronounce your full name and the name of your hometown?
So my full name is Rinus van Kalmthout, and name of my hometown is Hoofddorp.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That might be the easiest question of the month. All right.
Yeah.
Well done. Good job.
I knew that from when I just could talk.
Yeah. We needed the sound effect ding at the end. So yeah. Go ahead, David.
Scott, can you pronounce your name? No.
There it is.
Wanted to ask, how much did you consult with Chris before, sorry, not Chris, with Cannon before you went out? Because I remember one time Chris was telling me he made a change, to trim you out, and you recognised it was kind of like a bit thin, and he said you can handle it. I just wondered if Cannon took the same approach.
I prefer not to know. I just ask him it to be fast and, that it will stick. I guess he shortchanged me on the first run because it didn't really stick, but he works super hard. I know he, wants to win more than anything. We don't really discuss it too much. He's got a lot more tools, I'll tell him how the balance is and what I felt and how, I feel like the run could be improved. But, he's very good here, very good in qualifying configuration and race as well. But, the team has a very good format for what we need, and, he definitely nailed it.
Looking forward 7 days, like throughout this last week, everyone's just been saying, God, those Ganassi cars look ominously fast in race trim. How confident were you that you were also going to be fast in qualifying trim?
I guess it's kind of an unknown. We feel like the competition has definitely brought some speed this year, and not just here at the Speedway, but the road courses too. It's been pretty impressive. The delta that they've brought this year. So I guess the easy answer is you don't really know. You hope for the best. It looked like yesterday that they were pretty even actually, and today that I think the others have caught up a little bit to what we had last year and the year before. But what it comes down to now is raceability and how the cars are. I think the Ganassi cars are strong, but so are these guys. So is Rinus, so is Ed, so is Connor. The Penske's look very strong. The Andretti's, through portions of the day, look very strong. It's tight, man. The competition is just so damn tough in IndyCar right now.
Okay, well, congratulations. Awesome.
Thanks, David. Nathan.
For Scott and Alex, Alex, I know you. I think if I remember right, you were starting last of the Ganassi cars in the Fast 12, and then both of you had some teammates behind you to be able to learn off of. How much are you guys talking to your teammates in a situation like this when they're going before you, and how much are you guys changing before you guys are able to go back out and make your run?
Yeah, a lot. We obviously know everybody, what everybody's running, and we all share what we're feeling and how the balance was. I think that's what makes us stronger. I think if we would just hide everything, we wouldn't be with 6 cars in the Fast 12 or four cars in the Fast 6. So, we were sharing everything. That's what I was a bit scared as well when Scott was behind me. But it was good, and that's why I think I'm in the front row today.
Yeah, it's always, it's open book. I think everybody does a good job of that, and you have to buy in. You have to be willing to share, and I think that's always been the environment since 20 years ago since I joined this team. Some drivers were not always the easiest on it, but I think the environment in the last sort of 10 years has been very open like that. So I think everybody. I kind of asked a little bit, just going through the sequence of the Fast 6 of, what the 1 car had done, what the 8 had done, kind of after they'd left, and gone out. You don't want to share too much because it's on the radio as well. People are scanning and things like that. But, everybody is sharing. And we kind of have a program that constantly updates each stand of the changes that are going on as well.
And for both of you, one more question. Alex, I know this is just your second 500 with Chip. Scott, I know you've been doing this for 20 years. When you have 5 cars that we've all been talking about all week that look really strong in race trim, 5 cars that also are starting really close up to the top, does it increase the importance or maybe the level of urgency to try to be able to get someone in this group to be able to break through for Chip this next weekend?
Yeah, we had really strong cars on traffic conditions. I was actually happier with my car on race trim than I was at the beginning on qualifying trim. Maybe because we didn't get to run a lot on Friday, but it's a long race, man. It's a long race. I remember last year I was almost nowhere the first 2 runs, and then at the end we were up there. So you need to nail everything, every single lap, the strategy, every single pass, every pit stop. So yeah, the target is to get through the first pit stop, then the second, and then till the end, and try and be at the front, like first 2 places, I would say, for the last 10. So we'll try and do everything we can to get us in that position.
For Chip, it gives them better odds, right? The hard part is, you've seen, kind of the horror stories, I think, of when teams have expanded. Things, even when we're a 2-car team, things obviously flow a lot easier just because there's less people and there's not as much to manage. So that was a huge feat. I think up until this point, he's got 5 great cars that have a shot at winning this race. So it's good odds.
Thanks, guys.
Nate, go ahead.
The format of having to do 2 4-lap runs in basically less than 2 hours to win the pole, it seemed like that was somewhat born of there being 33 cars and no bumping. But now that you guys have done it, even if they had more than 33 cars, should they keep this kind of format?
I think it's around even. Everything has its positive and negative sides, but I think it definitely brings more excitement, especially when there's no bump day. But I think for the drivers, it's more nerve-wracking. So if I could choose, I would go back to Fast 9 qualifying.
Yeah, I would prefer to watch the bumping as long as I'm not in it, because that's always a great show. And you're not going through the ups and downs of what today was. So it was, I don't know. For us, I think from the first run to the second run, I knew it was hopefully going to get easier just because of weather conditions. But there is always the if you have a problem or if the weather doesn't get better. So I hope it worked for the fans. It sounds like there was a really good response, and I think that's what it's all tailored for. And if it's good like that, then we should continue to do it.
Alex.
Yeah, I agree. For the driver that has to do it once to get into the Fast 12, then another one to get into the Fast 6, it's tough. And once you're in the Fast 6, you're putting everything on the edge. So if it works like today, it's fun. But when you are going too far, it's not. So yeah, I'm not against it, but it's tough for a driver, I think.
Okay, and then one more for Scott. You alluded to it immediately in your interview with Marty. You said this is stage 1. We're starting in the right spot. We haven't had a good record in keeping it in the right spot. So I know this is pole number 5, second all time. It's a big deal. But is there a sense for you too that like, hey, I've been here before and I've got 1 win. I'm not even thinking about the fact we're starting first.
Yeah, it's all about the win, man. It's all about the win. Again, it's a privilege to be on the pole. This is damn hard to do for many reasons and for everybody on the team. So trust me, everybody feels very good about this situation, but not as good as I felt when I won in 2008. So I want that feeling again. Every driver, all 33 drivers want that feeling. And some have had it before, and the unfortunate part of that is it makes you want it that much more again.
Thanks, Nate. We have a handful from the Zoom. Let's go ahead and take care of a couple of those. Ben Johnson from the Baddick Eye has been patiently waiting. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Dave. Hey, guys. Congratulations, Scott, on your pole position. How much confidence does this give you going into the race next weekend? Not just that you're starting from the front, but obviously that you've been there so many times before, that you have the experience, but also that you have kind of 4 other drivers in the field kind of backing you up in that regard at the start?
I wish they were just backing me up, but that's not the case. I'm sure before lap one's over, Palou will be trying to pass me. It's a great effort, but it gives Chip better odds. Obviously, every driver on our team wants to win this race. So. It's good confidence, but again, it doesn't guarantee you anything. And having been in this position a few times, you really understand that. So you got to make sure you just keep working hard and keep knocking on that door. And I know for me, I hope at some stage it opens up again.
Excellent. And in terms of having the extra car, kind of 5 cars with the 500 this year, is that more of an advantage or a disadvantage in terms of the data pool?
I think it's been an advantage. I think everybody's input has been really good. I think there was a couple of personnel issues earlier in the week that hopefully gets ironed out a bit, just with different travel and things going on. But again, I think from the results and what we've seen so far, they've everybody in this group has done a tremendous job. But it's a lot of people coming from different from the Extreme E side and from the IMSA side. So it's a big effort.
Right. Excellent. Well, best of luck next weekend and looking forward to seeing you in a couple of days.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, Dave.
Thanks, Ben. Let's go to Jeroen Demmendahl. Jeroen, go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Dave. Obviously, I got a question for the young man from Het Village in the Netherlands. Rena's second front row start in a row, your third time in the Fast 9. Is there anything that you learned from those first 2 times in terms of process and mental prep? To get yourself ready for and in the zone for today and those very important qualifying runs?
I think I definitely have learned from my past 2 qualifying runs in the previous years. Of course, I've kind of done this before, and I've had a very sketchy moment last year in 2021, and it's not going to be easy to qualify high up the order. So. You got to be at the edge and sometimes maybe a little over the edge to find the sweet spot. And I think I felt really comfortable finding that sweet spot. And I was never this encouraging a team to go further on trimming. And I think confidence-wise, I definitely felt very, very cool in the car.
Cool. Hey, en dan nog heel even in onze moerstaal. Ik vroeg je gisteren natuurlijk met welke positie je tevreden zou zijn. Toen zei je van, ik ga alleen maar voor de pole. Maar nu sta je derde. Gemiddelde startpositie van 3,3. Je bent toch wel gewoon tevreden, of niet?
Ja, ik ben heel tevreden. Het is natuurlijk niet makkelijk om dat te doen. Zeker, ja, als je kijkt, Scott is gewoon heel snel. En we hadden alles aan de auto kunnen veranderen, maar niet dat extra stukje eruit kunnen halen wat hij heeft gedaan. Dus we hebben echt alles eruit gehaald wat we eruit konden halen. En dat is voor mij alles wat ik kan doen. En daar ben ik heel erg trots op, heel tevreden mee. En ik denk ook als team dat we Ed Carpenter Racing en Chevy gewoon heel blij moeten zijn dat we weer een auto op de front row hebben kunnen zetten.
Oké, dankjewel man.
Alsjeblieft.
Thanks, Dave.
Jeroen, thank you. We'll try one more. Fernando A. Alonso from IndyCar Aldea. Fernando, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Dave. Hello, Alex. ¿Nos podrías contar un poco acerca de cómo fue ese último intento? Parecía como que se iba primero por tener una alta velocidad. ¿Cómo fue el proceso de esta última ronda?
Nada, la verdad que después del Fast 12 hemos sacado un poquito más de carga, ya hemos intentado jugar todas las cartas que teníamos y el coche la verdad que iba muy bien, era el mejor balance que he tenido durante todas las sesiones de clasificación y todos los intentos, así que muy contento. Obviamente tener a nuestro compañero Scott con esos tiempos y saliendo detrás nuestro no iba a ser fácil, pero contento de salir en primera línea, nos da más opciones, pero ahora con ganas de trabajar y de llegar al próximo fin de semana.
And the second one, I just heard that Scott said that it's not too much important the pole. Why don't you share with Alex? if you feel it's more the feel for the winning.
I feel like the pole is very important. I never said it wasn't important. It's a big effort, you know. Again, lots goes into it. So no, I feel privileged to be on the pole. I'm sure these guys would rather be here. So yeah, you know. Again, the goal is to win the race. That's why we're all here, is to win the race. But we won the first race to the pole. Guarantees you nothing for next week.
And was good to watch that poll. Thank you all of three for that effort, and I hope we see you next week.
Thank you, Fernando. We'll go ahead and wrap things up here. I'll throw out one more stat for everyone. We've been crunching the numbers based on the 32 qualifying speeds this year. This is also the fastest field in Indianapolis 500 history, just eclipsing last year's speed. This year's speed average 231.023 miles an hour. Last year was 230.294. So a little bit of history this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Congratulations to the fastest front row in 500 history, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, and Rinus VeeKay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.